What's going on, everybody? Welcome to vlog number 20, and today it's a little bit special. You don't see me on a special home tour or introducing a landed property. I am going to continue with my investing educational videos. Well, due to the demands from my followers who have been asking me about when is the right time to invest, should I wait a little longer, or is there a formula to ensure my investment money doesn't erode? So here I am. But hold on, I'm not an investment professional, so I don't want you to go out, spend your savings on a property next. I'm just like you, leveraging on that much of experience I have at this moment to make the most out of my money. But of course, being a real estate broker on the ground, I have more insights. I can then help myself prevent any potential disastrous events and create multiple safeguards against my own investments. So again, don't go out and spend all your life savings on a property investment. Don't. This is purely educational. Don't follow in my exact footsteps. Back in 2009, I had $0 to my savings, and that's why I became a broker. During that Lehman crisis period, I saw prices free falling, but I totally had no means to purchase any investments assets. Now, a couple of years after I got into the real estate business, I started saving and realized that it was an opportune time to own a good piece of asset. I have seen what kind of deal sells really, really well, which location always has on-demand tenants to rent your property. I also see deals under distress where sellers really, really need to sell. So in 2012, I did my calculations and also my risk assessment. I invested in a suburban two-bedroom apartment which could generate a rent of around $3,600, and this apartment, being totally brand new, could also ride on the strong demands from future buyers, homeowners, investors who perhaps wish to own a piece of asset that is like brand new and sitting right next to the MRT station. However, sadly, from 2013 and all the way to 2017, with the 8 cooling measure already in place, capital gains were almost non-existent. Zero, zilch. But I'm happy to say, zero capital gains growth was already part of my consideration in my backup option. What will I do with a property that grows at a rate of zero due to the multiple cooling measures in place? Well, you simply sit back and collect rent. And as I calculate the total principal savings collected as a landlord over the past 8 years, wow, it is quite a tidy sum. Almost $137,000. Most people will say, well, it is not a lot of money. Well, I do agree, but don't forget that on your end, you as a landlord, you do nothing at all, while the tenant pays you rent on time monthly. My tenants do pay me on time, luckily. Owning an investment asset with great rentability demand and rental rates is part of my backup option, being an investor, and you should. So always buy an investment with the worst case scenario in mind. That's me. Ask yourself, in bad markets like today, where COVID-19 is present, where stock prices plunge, they plunge 20%, retrenchment rates are like 4% or possibly even higher, SMEs, businesses, F&B businesses shut down. Are you secured with a strong tenant pool? Therefore, I will look out for 2 very, very important attributes a property should have. One, being next to a good public transport node, and 2, having a business park that is like less than 15 minutes away from your property. So moving on, in 2017, I purchased my second property. And you're going to be like, what? Why are you taking up so much debts and getting into a second property in a short span of 5 years? Yes, you are right. There are risks to take, but these are all calculated risks. In 2017, just before I committed to the second purchase, I looked back into the first property, the first investment I had. At that time, the valuation was around $1.02 million and my outstanding loan was already at $717,000 thereabout. Well, obviously, my loan is being reduced by the rent I receive. So in the event that, let's say, the market dips, after I commit to my second property, it is very unlikely for the bank to perhaps request for a margin call on my first property. Well, mainly because my valuation is now higher and my loan gets lesser and lesser. And should a second worst case scenario happen where I have to keep my second investment because of the seller's stamp duty period and instead look to sell off my first investment, I still have the option to do so. So if it looks like I am highly leveraged, no, I'm not. So luckily for us, since 2012 to date, I haven't had a strong need to liquidate both of my properties. With COVID-19 happening in the early part of 2020, I myself saw multiple tenants being forced to return to their home countries in a very short notice period. So for me, my tenants remain in Singapore, continue paying rental. This I can attribute to the right location picked up for the investment property, which attracts strong tenants' demand from the nearby business hubs. And yes, you guessed it right, my second property is also situated closely to two business hubs. Now, if you are going to ask me, what do I actually derive from collecting rent and not generating any extra passive income like putting in stocks that yield dividends? Let's assume in the next 10 years, in 2030, when if both my properties do not gain in value at all, what is my net worth by then? So for the first property, if you look at it, my outstanding loan will remain at around $439,000, and if I sell it off, that means I take back easily $541,000. Then for my second property, my outstanding loan will remain at $340,000, and if I sell it off as well, I will take back $360,000. Well, there is a higher profit taking for this property mainly due to the rise in capital values over a period of 3 years. So you can say by 2030, and I will be 45 years of age, my total property net worth will easily, very, very easily, stand at $900,000 combined in value. And that is like $900,000 of principal savings paid by the tenant. What a tidy sum of money simply being a landlord, while I continue to hustle in my real estate business. So this, guys, is very achievable in a systematic fail-proof method. I call it fail-proof method. And here comes the excitement of it all. What can my portfolio potential look like, be like, if I add a third property in this entire equation? Perhaps I purchase something in 2021 or even 2022. So now I'm going to talk about you. If you have watched this video thus far, you might have been in my shoes. In 2011, I was looking to buy a HDB executive mansionette and even ventured to consider old HDBs like the 3NG layouts in Jurong East. So it was a little bit crazy looking back. If I have committed to them both, I would be stuck in the rut. They wouldn't even have risen in value since like 2011. And not forgetting that executive mansionette, which cost $497,000 in 2011, has been only transacted today at $510,000. Gosh. So back to you who is watching. I want you to make your right first move in your investment journey. Now, don't make a wrong move like how I almost did. Mainly because in the past, there was nobody to guide me at all. So send me a message if you're having differing opinions or if you're just confused with the real estate market itself. I'll hold your hand and we will walk together.